Hi, everybody. So everyone have a good dinner? Everyone have some good networking? Make some new friends?
Yeah.
We have a good turnout tonight. We actually have extra seats, which doesn't always happen because we got the big room tonight. So applause for our NC State University Club hosting us. I like the big room. It is my goal for us to have 50 plus people at every event so we can always be in the big room, because I hate when we are shoved in the small room and we run out of seating. So the earlier that you can RSVP for our future events, the better for us to make sure we get in the big room. Thank you all for coming. I'm Kate Lewis. I am the president of AITP-RTP chapter. And I don't do this alone. It takes a village. These are my people. This is my board of volunteers that help me tirelessly every month, without fail, put out an amazing program for all of you. So, round of applause for these people. I just get to be the queen that stands up here with the microphone that orders people around. But it does. It takes a village, and we love our team. Also, I don't know if you all know that we have a MAC, but our MAC is our Strategic Advisory Committee. It's usually CIOs in the industry that also volunteer and provide us with some guidance. So they make recommendations.
It's good.
It's so good. It's so good. Great. I can hear you. Yeah.
Provide us with guidance. They give us recommendations of topics and trends and speakers and programs, and there's room on our MAC board for people that are interested in joining, but sometimes they join us in the room. I don't know if any of them are here tonight, but we met last month. We got some really good advice to make some changes and improvements and continue to grow as an organization, and I also want to thank our MAC. And members. You know, we had 15 new members in the last 30 days. And I'm really proud of that. I think it's word of mouth. I think it's because we are the fun, inclusive, diverse, everyone's invited, everyone can hang, IT community in town that continuously, consistently meets and provides value-add programming. So super proud and welcome to all of our new friends. If you want to give yourself a shout out, like raise your hand. Lots of new people. I think on the tail of our meeting last month, so in May we had our second annual Tech Connect Together collaboration event with our STEM RTP chapter and our Triangle T-Tech event and us. We all got in a room at Briar Creek Country Club, so it was a little bit of a field trip, and we had a great speaker about body language, so I probably need to watch how I use my hands and stand, because you're all going to be observing. We had about 80 people in the room, so a lot of you were there. It was a really good event, and I think that also led to people deciding to join our fun group, because we're the right group to join from that group. So thank you all to our new members. If you are not a member and you are a guest, we love that you're a guest. If you love what you see and you made some good new friends and you want to continue, there's a couple of different ways to get involved, a couple different membership packages. The annual membership is the best deal. You get 12 months, which is networking, dinner, a speaker and program and topic for your professional development every second Thursday of every month, 12 months a year, plus this amazing buffet at this great location for only $195 for the year. A lot of people start in the quarterly membership. This was our new offering last year, and it's great for people who might have recently been impacted and are in the market for a new opportunity and are new to networking and are just trying to like dip their toes into what is it like to make new friends and go to networking events and be a part of a community. And so a lot of people start in our quarterly membership, and then sometimes they decide to extend that and join us on an annual basis. And it's also great for you to just be a guest. But also, the one thing that we do differently is if you can't join and you're a member, is you can share your seat. Proxy your seat to a friend or a member on your team and allow someone else to come in your place so that your seat doesn't go unused. And thank you to Tracy Tracy at State Employee Credit Union for being our inaugural group member. They're a corporate member, and so they have 5 seats, and Tracy uses it as a recognition for people on his team for their outstanding achievement and kind of rotates the seats of who gets to come based on the topic, the speaker, and using it for professional development and continuous learning for his team. So thank you to State Employee Credit Union. If you work at an organization in town that has a large IT presence that is considering multiple memberships, Brooke is not here tonight, but you can see me or take Brooke's email address down, but that's a great way for your company to join at the corporate level and send more than one person to each of our events. And then this slide might be hard to read. Is it hard to read? Yeah. So don't hire me for your PowerPoint presentation needs. We have a lot of new ways for you to be a sponsor. So if you have marketing dollars to spend, if you are hiring, if you're a company that's growing, if you're looking to reach a broader audience, if you're looking to attract diverse talent, we'd love to partner with you and find the right way to fit within your budget, from as low as $500 and as much as $5,000 a month with a lot of different benefits. So if you want to see this in better detail, contact me or Brooke, and we'll send you the PDF version of this slide that is poorly done, and we'll move past it for now, right? And thank you to our sponsors who have been helping support us. We are a nonprofit. Actually, our prices are relatively low and honestly don't always cover our costs. So thank you to our sponsors to help us pull off the programming that we pull off to add value. So we're going to get started because you're done and tired of hearing from me, so you'd love to hear Tom Mead speak. Tom's joining us from Las Vegas. Who's been to a tech conference in Vegas recently? Right? I mean, like all of us? Oh, not recently. A lot of us, right? So Tom's joining us from Las Vegas. He is speaking to us about fixing revenue leaks in your e-commerce cycle. I think every company is trying to find creative ways to grow and add revenue and sales opportunities, right? So we're going to have Tom spin on how we can fix our revenue cycles. He has a great background. I don't like to read from slides. That's not my thing. So I'm going to let you read, and I'm going to switch slides for Tom to come up and join us. Also, he has a very interesting story about Vegas and the history of Vegas that I did not know, and he has a background from the Marine Corps. And if you want to send your kids to a boarding school camp over the summer in Texas and have them come back transformed, ask Tom where his kids are going. All right, Tom, I'm going to bring you up.
Okay, can everybody hear me? First question.
Yes.
If you can't see me, then you need to stand up because I haven't been any taller. I've been hearing about this growth spurt all my life, and I'm hoping this is the summer I'm going to grow 6 inches, but it's probably not going to happen tonight. So, as she mentioned, I am from Las Vegas now. I'm actually originally from New York. But trivia question for anybody out there. Who knows what the name Las Vegas means?
Lost wages? Is that what
It translates to the meadows. And the reason for that is there's the Mojave River runs underground underneath Las Vegas, and they used it as a train stop. That's why it's, the I-15 corridor logistics route. Las Vegas was originally a train stop for trains going north and south. And that's how they got things in over to Hoover Dam and for the atomic energy program and things of that nature. And then the rest of it built up around that. When you suddenly have 10,000 people, men mostly, needing something to do with their money on the weekends. and gambling is available, and women are available, and well, the rest is where we are now. So it's a fun place, and I would also encourage you to get off the strip. Most people, when they think of Vegas, that's the first thing they think of, including me before I lived there. But I'm not a gambler. So for me, I'm just looking, what else is there to do in this place? There's a ton of stuff. I won't go into detail right now, but if you want to talk later, I'm happy to help you out. Or if you follow me on LinkedIn, I post on there occasionally about the hidden Las Vegas, as I refer to it. These are all the places off the strip that are worth going to, like I was mentioning here. They have the International Pinball Hall of Fame. It's right down there at the bottom of the strip, across the street from the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, which is down by Mandalay Bay, so from the other side of the street. And they've got about 150 operating machines there. All you need to bring is like 2 rolls of quarters. Admission is free, and just play the games. So if you like Ms. Pac-Man or Galaga, they have that. If you like the old flipper style, they've got those as well. So again, it's one of those who knew kind of things, but particularly if you have kids and you're looking for a family-friendly kind of environment, that'd be a great one. Plenty of natural events like Red Rock Canyon is a big attraction for us out there. But that's not what you came to hear about. What you came to hear about was what we have learned about how to fix the revenue leaks in your e-commerce. And I've been doing more and more research in this area, and it is astounding to me how poorly we are applying technology to address the e-commerce challenge. And it seems that the more we attempt to do lately, the worse we're getting. So how many people love going to a website and dealing with the automated chatbot? Anybody? No, they suck, right? If you call into a company and you get their IVR, you're in IVR jail. You'll be there for 20 minutes and it will not let you talk to a human being, which was what you wanted, because yours is not a standard, I just want to check my balance kind of thing. That's, you have this really different question, but they will not let you talk to a human. Why? I have no idea. And someone says, oh, they'll love this. Check your CSAT on that one. So anyway, I can actually read this thing. So what are we going to learn today? Hopefully, if all goes well, I will raise your awareness about a rather large business problem, which is e-commerce revenue leakage. How many people are not buying from you? And how do you get that money back? What are the steps that you can take to minimize the problem? This is what you think you can do proactively. Or what are the things that you can do after they've already left to try to save that sale? And how to 10x your sales recovery. And I'll go into more detail on that one. So a quick poll. When you think of, it could be your website, it could be you just think generically about a website, what percentage of consumers that visit your online store and go so far as to put things in their cart do not buy from you? We'll get a show of hands for A. Nobody? B? About 10. C? Okay, getting more. D? Okay. Survey said, on average, that's an average. So you may be doing good, you may be at 60%, that's good. But 69.8% of people that visit your site are not going to be buying from you. They will abandon their cart. Some will even get to the checkout stage and then abandon you. Or their credit card will get declined. It's another problem. That happens. And again, there's reasons, and I'll touch on those. But if you think about that, you're spending all this money on technology to get people to go to your website, to shop on your website. You're doing all these things, banner ads and whatever else, to attract them, to draw them in. But you're only getting 30% on average return for that money. That's not particularly good. Not if, or probably the CEO would be saying that. So if you're a technologist in the room, part of this presentation is how do we get more out of the technology And also, how do we not keep throwing technology at the problem if technology is actually part of the problem? Sort of like the old line about Reagan that once said, everyone looks to government to solve the problem. Government is the problem. Here, throwing technology at the problem is part of the problem. Now, like I said, that was the average. Here are some others that are sort of best in class on the wrong side, worst in class. If you're in telco, 95% of the people that visit your website with the intention of buying something, they put it in the cart, are not going to buy. That means 1 out of 20 are going to make a purchase. Oops. Okay. 1 out of 20 are going to make a purchase. If you're automotive parts, USAutoparts.com kind of thing, luxury goods, your Coach, 87% are not going to buy from you. That's a scary thought. Well, especially if you're in e-commerce and marketing for those companies, it should be a scary thought. Obviously, there's companies that, as I mentioned earlier, might be in the 65, 60, maybe I saw one recently that was in the 55% category. And they were still unhappy at 55. Because in their case, it was more of a member. Okay? It was more of a membership kind of scenario where 45% of their registered members that had put something in the cart were not buying. Ouch. These weren't strangers. These weren't first time, just passerbys. These are, people who are active business to business in this case, business to business e-commerce, registered people that buy from them regularly. 45% of the time were not buying from them. So how do we get past that situation? Well, first point is, if you look at the opportunity that it creates, $4.6 trillion worldwide are lost in abandoned carts. That's how much money is out there that no one is capturing. That's a lot of money. Now, as I mentioned, the tech stack, you got all this stuff that you can throw at the problem. Take your pick. I'm sure you recognize most of the names on here if you've been doing anything in technology related to e-commerce. And slice and dice it any way you want. There's no shortage of technology that you can throw at the problem. But that's not solving the problem. In many cases, like I said, it's actually causing the problem or compounding the problem. And what I found even more disappointing or appalling is that a lot of companies do a very bad job of measuring how well their technology is doing, how well their e-commerce is doing. They have insufficient dashboards to be able to react in real time. So the main difference there is there's a difference between having technology, as it is on the left-hand side, and mastering technology. Anybody here ever work at EDS? You know what that building is? That's the Plano Information Management Center. Yeah. You can see the EDS logo right up there. And what was interesting was when EDS built that facility, by the way, I worked at EDS, they built it with the expectation that within 10 years, they would probably need others. But what happened was Moore's Law came into effect, and every 18 months, the price of computing went down in half, and they never needed a bigger building because the technology kept getting smaller. And I'll date myself here. When I went through college, our computer, and we had to use a time-sharing model, was a Univac 1180. It was like a 10,000 square foot footprint. Which probably has about as much computing power as my Apple right now. So anyway, things have changed. Things have gotten smaller. Now, I'll date myself again here as well. As it was mentioned, I was in the Marine Corps. Anybody here a pilot? Nobody. Okay. When I was learning to fly, this was back before we had simulators. Okay. So if you think about 9/11, the people that flew the jets into the towers, they trained on a simulator on their desktop, on the PC. When I was training, again, UNIVAC 1180, we didn't have desktops to do that with. What we had was a thing called the hood. Now, when you're in a plane, and this was a small Cessna, if you wanted to learn how to recover from a stall is when a plane is flying along, everything's going fine, but you start losing speed and there's not enough air flowing over the wings to sustain flight. If you don't have enough airflow, it's going to start dropping down. And eventually it's going to start spinning out of control. And to get out of that spin, in the old days, you had to first put the plane in a spin. So you can imagine doing that for the first time. Oh boy, I have to make this thing, basically fall from the sky and then recover from it. The answer is yes. But what happens is, and this happens in business, is your human senses are going to deceive you. And what's going to happen is you're going to make the wrong decisions. In aviation terms, when that plane is falling from the sky, it could be falling end over end, it could be spinning, your senses are thrown off. What you see outside of the cockpit is not going to help you. Because if you think about something like centrifugal force, you spin around, do the baseball bat, spin around 3 times and run across the room, that's the same kind of experience. There's nothing outside of the cockpit that's going to save you. Everything that you need to be saved is inside the cockpit. So we put the hood on, and as you can see, it's sort of like blinders for a racehorse. It keeps you from seeing outside of the cockpit. You can only see what's inside. Basically, you can only see the instruments of the plane. And frankly, you don't need to see all of them. There's only like 6 or 8 that really are going to be critical to your survival. And that's what they want you to focus on. Because if you advance in your aviation career, you're going to see something that looks like this. Anyone know what plane that is? Since there's no pilots, probably not. Nope. It's the AITP Harrier jump jet, made popular from the Falkland Islands War. But as you can see, there's a dizzying array of instruments that you got to look at. But whether it's a small Cessna 150 or it's a advanced warplane like this, you only need about 6 or 7 to recover from that stall. When that plane is falling out of the sky. Everything else is superfluous. The same thing happens with your technology. People are going to be throwing the stats at you all day long, and they're going to be measuring stuff all day long, but being in sales, one of the things that I make it a point to do is don't exercise the client, don't ask them questions about their environment that you're not going to do anything with, right? If you're not going to use the data somehow to help them make better decisions, don't ask them the question. Ask them the questions that are relevant. So, I wrote an article a few years back called, Do You Have Your Instrument Flight Rating for Your Business? The instrument flight rating is when you have passed that test with the hood, and you can now recover the plane, you have what's called your instrument flight rating. Meaning that you do not need to see outside of the cockpit to fly the plane, you just need to look at the instruments, and you can get the plane to take off, you can get the plane to land, you can recover from the stall, you can fly at night, doesn't matter. You can find an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean where there's no guidance. That's why you need that, because you can't see anything. Okay? So from a business perspective, the things we want to look at from the e-commerce perspective, the only things that really matter, someone might come up with a list of 20 or 25, we're still going to just be looking at these as the ones that matter. The average checkout abandonment rate, that's what we saw earlier, the 69.82%. The average abandoned order value, because not every abandoned cart is worth chasing. If someone abandoned a cart that had $24 in it, let it go. If it's $240, if it's an Apple iPhone, yeah, you might want to see if you can recover that one. Right? So there's a triage that goes on. The transaction path length to make a purchase on your site, are you asking unnecessary questions of the customer for marketing analytics and other things that really are not necessary for them to make the sale? Because what's happening is you're losing the sale as a result of making it a painful process. What are the number of required form fields? This relates to number 3. How many of those are actually required? If it's not required, get rid of the damn thing. It's superfluous. The average time to complete an order. How long does it take someone to, from the moment that they decide, I want to make a purchase, how many steps do they have to go through? 3 or 4 is kind of a good target, but I've seen ones where it's 9, 10 or more. That's just too many steps. You're making it too hard for them to do business with you. These are preventative things that, again, measurement will tell you, are you doing the right things right? If you're not, then make some changes. Now, not every customer is going to come at you from the same place. Some are going to come at you from an iPhone or a cell phone. Some are going to be using a tablet. Some are going to use a desktop. Some are going to use any variety of different means. Some might be calling you. But you want to make sure that you can capture all of that data and then slice it by how did they come to you. Because the buying habits, the demographics of the people using those different devices also have different success rates and have different variables. So if you look at mobile phone users as an example, if you do not have Android Wallet or Apple Pay, you're losing about 60% of your people just because of that. Just making that one change could give you a significant uptick from that one demographic. Now that demographic may only be 5 or 10% of your total purchase, but it has a significant impact within that one. Any questions so far? Okay. And then the last one is email capture and conversion rate. How many people have had the experience where you were the person that abandoned your cart, and for the next 6 months you get the, hey, you left something in your cart email? I'm sure pretty much everybody. And you hit unsubscribe 16 times and it never goes away. It's annoying as hell. But actually, the fact that it's annoying as hell is part of the problem. So instead of engendering a good feeling with the customer, and instead of creating customer loyalty and a feeling of positivity, you're now pissing them off. Because you keep sending them this email, it's a simple marketing automation, and you're annoying your best customers. Why would you do that? Particularly when the success rate for email as a way of sales recovery is between 3 and 5%. Just like pretty much any other direct mail type activity. Now, if you take that, that's 3 to 5% of 70%, which means you're talking it's 2 to 3%. Is it really worth going through all that effort to annoy your customers? That's one of those V8 moments, right? So look at your email capture rate. Now, there are entities that are having better luck. There are some that are in the 8 to 10%. That's considered outstanding, according to people that study this stuff. That's still not exactly great. 8% of 70% is 5.6%. Oh boy, that's not exactly going to get the CEO to be perking up and saying, so how do we do more of that? So if you have to give the customer a choice, do they want to do your checkout process or would they prefer to have root canal? Because you have to provide them with a fast, smooth, seamless process. Don't make it hard to do business with you. Your website speed. Most websites these days move along pretty quickly. But I've come across some recently that the load times are just terrible. So always be looking to optimize that. Payment security. By stating on your website, when they're in that checkout queue, what what payment security protocols you're using, gives a higher percentage of purchase. Because people feel, I'm not being hacked, I'm not being scammed, and this is a legitimate website, all those kinds of things. So be upfront with them. Don't hide it. Don't say, read our terms and conditions and privacy policy and, bury it in some fine print 8 pages back. You're making it hard to do business with yourself. Be proud of the fact that you have, PCI DSS. Be proud of the fact that you have, other payment certifications. Let the customers know that you care about them. Keep it simple. Stupid. That's the kiss. So the checkout process, again, the marketing people, and I've been a chief marketing officer, so I can say bad things. The marketing people want to get as much detail as they can, as if they're going to get some epiphany by getting all of this detail. But most of it, again, is not critical information to help you move traffic through the sales process to make a sale. And if you're not doing that, who cares? And that's the purpose of the business, is to make money, to get sales done, right? Knowing what color underwear they want, who cares? That's not an important issue. More payment options, as I mentioned earlier about Android Wallet and Apple Pay. Just by giving those 2 extra payment options, big boost. Do the same thing. Do you not accept Discover Card, or do you not accept JCB, or do you not accept different forms of credit cards? Make sure you are giving them as much latitude as possible. Exit pop-ups. You've probably seen when you go to navigate away from the site, suddenly a pop-up comes up and says, "Hey, don't leave yet. We'll give you free shipping." Or, "Wait, I wasn't going to get free shipping before?" So now that automatically raises a red light in their mind about, okay, so I got to game the system here. Again, you're making it hard to do business with you. Just give them the free shipping if you were going to do it anyway, or discount your shipping, or do something. But the opportunity is also there, if you have a human involved, to do a chat intercept and to say, before you leave, is there something that we can do to assist you in finishing your purchase? If it's just a chatbot, you're not going to get that opportunity. And test often, but most importantly, test consistently. Which means if you're going to test something every week, test it every week. If you're going to test it every month, test it every month, every quarter, and so forth. I've come across too many companies since I've been doing this job that they measure more ad hoc. When suddenly sales are slumping, give me a report on this. That's not the time to be doing it. You've got continuous improvement requires continuous measurement, right? So make sure you're continuously following and monitoring and looking for trends, upwards or downwards, to make sure that you're doing the things that you want to get done. So what if the horse is already out of the barn? They've already left. They've abandoned their cart. All of those proactive things that you tried to do didn't work. Well, the least effective thing you can do, as I mentioned earlier, is the follow-up emails. Now, there might be a reason to do that. If you're, I don't know who the audience is here, but anybody here from Dollar Tree? Okay. So let's say you're Dollar Tree. You don't have high-value purchase items, right? So if someone leaves the cart and they've got $5, $8 in there, no biggie to send them an automated email out of the need because it doesn't cost anything, right? But if you are Apple and you're selling something online and it costs several $100s, the follow-up email is not the route to go. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, you're going to end up pissing them off. And the other reason is 50% of the people that leave your website and abandon their checkout are going to buy from your competitor within 48 hours. So why are you sending an email for the next 6 months saying, hey, come on back? They're already gone. They already bought the boots from Timberland and went on their vacation. They don't need another pair of boots. The Timberland, they don't need them for another 10 or 20 years. Right? I mean, those things are damn good. Out of stock notification. You can ask them as a follow-up, do you want us to alert you when the product becomes available? maybe sold out. That's a way to keep them engaged with you. So that's a good thing to do. And they appreciate that because if they have the luxury of time, they're not going to Yellowstone this weekend, if they're not planning to go until July, okay, maybe I can do that. But if it's still that close, they're probably going to buy from somebody else in the next 48 hours. Offer an additional discount. And sometimes you'll see this come up in the last pop-up before you sign out of the site. Hey, if you add another $20, you can get a 15% discount. All right, well, you're now again making it too hard. You're telling them they have to buy more to get a discount. I'll just give them the damn discount. All right, just let them buy. I was a friend of mine years ago that had a consulting company. He was a former chief procurement officer for Disney, for General Electric, for a couple other Fortune 500 types who'd done consulting as well. And what he built a practice around was helping smaller companies get more leverage in their purchasing power by saying, well, I'm with General Electric. You used to sell that to us for 70 cents on the dollar. Why are you charging me 80? You made a profit then. What's wrong with selling it to me for 70 now? Just because I'm not General Electric? Is that the reason? So, know what your standards are, but again, make it easy to do business with you, not hard. Don't put artificial obstructions in the way. Yeah, you want to get a little more revenue, but if you lose the sale, you're getting 100% of nothing. Okay? Targeted remarketing. This is where you're going to go back to them for the next several months, saying, hey, we know you were looking at this. Here's some other things you might be interested in buying. People like that because if they're in a certain activity, let's say it's kayaking or rock climbing or camping, if they bought one thing, they're probably going to want to consider other things down the road too. So throwing out the occasional targeted remarketing, you know exactly what they were looking for before. Offer things that are around the periphery of that they would be interested in. They appreciate that. That's why it's number 3. Do you want me to save your cart? This is a presumptive close, if you will, that suggests that we think you'll be coming back. We don't want you to have to go through the whole building your cart process again. Do you want us to save it for you? Of course, you could do it automatically, so that the next time they come back, they're there. But that usually works if you have a membership type scenario, as opposed to if you're a random person. If you're a random person, ask them if they want to have their cart saved. It encourages them to come back in a non-pushy way. So what's the most effective way to recover those lost sales, those abandoned carts?
Offer a discount.
So what?
The number 4, offer a discount. Here's 10% off.
No, that's number 1.
Oh, number 1.
What's the number 1?
I always go for the number 4.
The plain old telephone system. Yeah, decidedly low tech, right? Okay, why would this be the number 1? Compared to, for example, email. Right, you can get an actual interaction, you can get feedback, you can get response, you can upsell, you can cross-sell. If they come back responding to an email, they're going to buy probably what was in their cart. There's a small chance they might buy something else, but they're probably just going to go back, make the transaction, and move on. But if you call them and you find out that they were trying to buy boots because they live in Florida and they're going to Yellowstone, and you say, well, so the boots that you were trying to buy, 2 problems. 1, they're not insulated, and it's still cold in Yellowstone. I know it's not cold in Florida. It's cold up there. They still have snow on the ground. And number 2, it's still wet and slushy up there. So you want them to be waterproof, and the boots that you selected are not waterproof. So had they bought your boots, but followed up to an email, they actually would have been a dissatisfied customer because it didn't do what they thought it did, even though the product description said it's not insulated, not waterproof. It's your fault, nonetheless. So by having them in this interactive mode, you can now say, so 3 booths that you might want to consider that would satisfy your requirements are this, this, and this. And you have them look at those. Which of those 3 would be appealing to you? Oh, I like this one. Okay, so now we went from $119 to $149 because they're insulated and waterproof, not just fashionable. Then you find out, well, being that you live in Florida, you probably don't have insulated socks, I'm guessing, right? You don't wear those with the sandals too often. So let me get you a couple of pairs of those. I can get you 2 packages of 3, 20% discount on those. And you're being consultative with them. You're helping them solve their problems. Oh, you're leaving on Saturday for Yellowstone? Okay, let me get you the expedited shipping. I'll throw that in at no charge. Or I'll throw it in at the same rate as the standard shipping. Be their friend. But you can't do that in an email, right? You have to interact with people. Now, it takes a certain kind of person. And the reason is, as I mentioned at the beginning, Les Alberthold, the former chairman of EDS, coined a term called the impact gap. And that's man's ability to invent technology is growing faster than his ability to apply technology. Anybody here been in technology procurement or have purchased hardware or software? Okay, at least a couple. What happens when IBM has a new product coming out? They want you to hold off your buying decision until November when it comes out. We know you're looking to make a decision now. No. Our next version will do all the things that you're saying you want done. The reality is, if they could figure out how to use more than half of the capabilities that they already have, they wouldn't need to buy the upgrade. But the IBM keeps delaying the sale, keeping you on the hook by delaying the decision to buy the next version of something. I don't know if you're anything like me. I can use Excel. I can create budgets and spreadsheets and things of that nature. I am not one of those people that can make Excel dance. I have not figured out probably 80% of it. Because the 20% does everything that I need. But the questions that I have are, I need something that does this, this, and this. It's usually not a question of the software needs to be upgraded. It's usually my abilities need to be upgraded. The capability is already there, right? So at Turtle Peak, the company that I'm with, we're the pioneers in this process. When we learn the hard way, what you can replicate, if you so desire, is the agent hiring profile is critical. Now, you can say the same thing about Southwest Airlines. Others have tried to duplicate the Southwest culture, the friendliness, the joviality of the attendants, the jokes that they tell, the horrible singing they do. But somehow Southwest has created a culture that is so unique because of the people that they hire. Disney would be another company that historically would have fit that category. They don't have employees, they have cast members. They look for people with a certain personality type. At EDS, we did the same thing. We used to refer that EDS didn't have a culture, EDS was a cult. We hired a lot of people out of the military for a reason. They hired them because people out of the military are not going to complain about traveling. They're not going to complain about being away from their family. They're not going to complain about long hours. All they want to know is, what's the job, what's the result that's going to be measured, and when do you need it? Everything else, that's just personal preference, but you get somebody with a military background and they're mission focused. Just tell me where to go and I'll go get it done, right? It worked well for Ross Perot for 40 years or so that he was there. 30 years in his case. So you don't want a customer service person. Customer service people are too kind. They're too nice. because they're not going to ask for the order. They're going to be happy to, hear the stories about the vacation that they're planning, all those. No, you're trying to get a sales on here. So it's important to make sure that you have a person with the right personality. At a company I used to be with, one of the things that we did was collections. And one of our clients wanted their collections, which had been done in India, they wanted to move to the Philippines. Okay, customer says they want us to do that. So we pushed 500 seats over to Manila, got them staffed up, and a year later we shut it down. Because the Philippine people were too nice. They have a true service ethic. And they like to talk like crazy. Whereas the Indian people, no offense to any Indians that may be here, they were mission focused. They didn't care what your sob story was. I'm doing collections. I'm trying to get your money. The Philippines go, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about what happened. Would it be better if I called you back in 3 months? 6 months. Okay, well, 6 months is fine. I'll put a note on my calendar. No, you're trying to get the money now. They're already 6 months behind. That's not their nature. They're just too nice. So, same thing with this environment. There is a personality profile type that we're targeting here. You don't want somebody who's a timeshare salesperson, who's looking for that go for the throat, one close call. If I can get you off the phone in 1 minute and make the sale, that's kudos to me. No, I'm looking for somebody that can be relating to our customers. We want a positive experience here. We're not looking for the pushy timeshare salesperson. No offense to anybody that might be in the timeshare industry. But if you bought a timeshare, you know what I'm talking about, right? First-hand product knowledge. So if you call into REI and you are trying, or excuse me, the agent calls you because you abandoned your cart, and you have skiing equipment in there. Let's say I'm the agent. Wrong person. I hate skiing. I did it once. It was a miserable experience. I will never do it again. I've done cross-country skiing. That was okay. You only fall over at like 3 miles an hour. Downhill, hitting the fence at whatever it was, 40 miles an hour. That's no fun. You need to have somebody that likes skiing to talk to the person about skiing, right? If you're selling supplements, you need somebody that can have the conversation with them that says, so what is your goal with this particular supplement? Well, I decided to get into bodybuilding, and I was told that nitrous oxide and L-arginine would be good things to get. True, that's a true statement. But if you're going to get L-arginine, you probably also need to get L-citrulline. The two are meant to work in combination. L-arginine, you'll get your results in about 6 months. But if you do L-arginine and L-citrulline together, you'll see the results that you're looking for in about 2 to 3 months. So I would recommend, rather than stringing it out over 6 months, get the citrulline now, and you'll see the results after 3 months. If you want to go just L-arginine, you can do that, but I think you'll find that you're getting the results that you're looking for. We have to know something about supplements to have that conversation, right? So, product knowledge is important. Part of that is because the people that do the job need to be smart. These are not your typical call center agents. These are people that, again, need to have all those human skills, empathy skills, and such. But you want them to work off script. I'm sure everyone in this room at some point has probably spoken to a call center agent in a foreign country who was reading from a script. And you can tell because it's very choppy the way they say. They don't articulate well, they don't emphasize certain words, they just read from the script though it is written because they can read English. That was the requirement. But they don't have the product knowledge. And because they're reading from a script, they were not doing what? They're not listening. Because they're too focused on not making a mistake on what they're reading. Okay? So at Turtle Peak, all of our agents, 100% off script for that reason. Because the other thing that happens is our agents, the average tenure of a call center agent in the retail industry is 140% annually. Think about that. It means the average person lasts, 7 months maybe? 8 months if you're lucky? Our agents are 3.3 years. What does that do? Well, now when they call back in, they can say, is Jennifer available? The answer would be yes. Now you have that personal relationship going. We have one customer that they did a marketing campaign, and for 12 months after they stopped the campaign, people were still calling our agents and making orders because of the agent that they were talking to. So that's the caliber of person. This is not your low-cost, $5 an hour person in some third world country. This is a person who they can relate to, which I would suggest, if you're doing this for the US, you probably want to have agents that are from the US. If you're doing this in France, you probably want to have people that are from France, because there's a cultural element that will kick in. We don't play a lot of cricket over here. You want people that are hunters, not farmers. But again, not the timeshare type. They have to be people that are money motivated. They like working on a commission because they know they can make more. Call center agents are typically happy just to do the job, show up, punch the clock, do the work, take a lunch break, punch the clock again, do some more work, and leave. Or they might be doing it from home. Cart and customer triage is critical to your success. As I mentioned earlier, not all carts are created, not all customers are created equal either. So if you're a Dollar Tree, or let's take Party City. Okay. If you're Party City, they have things on there that might be $50, $60 costumes for adults for Halloween. And one or two of those, next thing you know, you're over $100. That's probably somebody you want to follow up with. But the person that's looking at a pack of 500 balloons for $10, send them the email. Don't ask this agent to talk to that person. So you cull through who are the people that you want to talk to find who are your high pos, your high potential targets. And that's where the analytics are essential. Because when you call them back, were they calling on, or when they were making their purchase attempt, were they doing it from a cell phone? Because that's a different demographic than the person that's doing it from their laptop or their desktop. Different buying criteria typically come into play. So you get your agents specialized by channel as well. And that way they can relate better. Get demographics that relate in the same context. People who buy from a laptop or desktop will tend to be older. We'll say the baby boomers and the whatever one comes after that. Whereas the ones that are buying on the phone are the digitally native, 20 plus kind of people. Obviously, no broad brushes applicable in any situation. But generally speaking, you're going to find that they all fall into a certain category. The other thing that we found the hard way is this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You're not going to get magical ROI first time out of the gate. Having never done this before, hiring people who initially you're probably going to have some high turnover because you hire the wrong people. But also, if you just look at product cycles over the course of the year, there's different peaks and valleys of when people are buying things. You take pharmaceutical or nutraceuticals as an example, supplements. January is a very busy month because everyone has their New Year's pledge, resolution that they're going to lose weight, they're going to get fit, they're going to do whatever. So they go out and they buy hundreds of pills in the hopes that that's going to solve the problem. A gym membership probably would have been a better buy, but that's not for me to say. So you have to look at things at least for a year before you're going to start seeing patterns over the course of a year. What you're seeing in the first 3 months of the year is not going to look the same as the last 3 months of the year. Obviously, the last 3 months of the year in an online e-commerce environment, that's your peak season. That's when you're going to make, in most industries, that's when you're going to make most of your money. Now, if you're in auto parts, the summer is going to be your peak period. So you got to make sure that you're, again, targeting the right things the right way, and doing the analytics to make sure that you're not spending your time doing the wrong things the wrong way, but doing the right things the right way. So what's possible? Let's talk about results. This is what we found. Now, our parent company that spun us off is a nutraceutical supplements type company. We'll just put that out there. They have 12 different companies that we service. This is our average across them as well as a few other customers that we have. So on average, we're recovering 35 to 59% of those abandoned carts. 35 to basically 60%. So let's put that into a math equation. What percent were you making on your own? 30%, right? Okay, hold that number. You're making $30. Now, $70 is still in play. If we can recover, or if you can recover if you're doing this on your own, 35% of that 70%. Everybody good at math? 24.5, roughly 25%. So, you got 30, we will recover another 25 using the techniques that I mentioned earlier. You've almost doubled, 80% roughly, increase in your sales. How much new technology did you use? None. Now, the other thing that happens is because we have you on the phone, we can be consultative. We can be your best buddy. We can get you to buy the socks that you didn't know you needed. We can get you to buy a better boot that actually meets the needs that you're looking for. What happens there? Upsell and cross-sell. In our case, we have, the third bullet there, we have an average order value that's 42% higher than what they had in their cart when we called them. So now, I was at 25% a moment ago. If I up that 40%, what's my number now? 35%. What was your number? 30. So we have, by working together, or you and your marketing department doing this on your own, you have effectively almost doubled your sales in e-commerce with no more technology. In fact, I would advocate probably less technology might be in order. And for our clients, that translates, because not every, like I said, some things you're still going to send email because it's below a certain threshold, and certain things you're going to, if it's valuable enough, you're going to put your top agent on it. Between roughly 25 and 40% of the total sales online for our customers is a result of the work that we do. So let's pick a number, let's say a third. So if you could increase your total online sales by a third, that's effectively a 50% increase. Instead of getting $67, you're now getting $100. Okay? Again, this is what our results were using the process that I mentioned earlier. You can do the same thing. It probably will take you a few years like it took us, but it's doable. So, in summary, winners find a way to win. Anybody here know Jim Thorpe? Not personally, but you've heard of him? Okay. So, for those of you that don't know who he is, Jim Thorpe was the first Native American to win a gold medal at the Olympics back in 1912, so over 100 years ago. He started out by winning the gold in the pentathlon, or what was the classic pentathlon back then. Went on to win gold in the decathlon. And he set a new world record in the process. A record that stood until 1948, a record that at that number he would have won 7 more Olympic gold medals. That's an impressive number. But look at the picture. What do we notice down here with this red arrow? Anyone want to tell me? That's right. He won 2 gold medals, not by creating excuses and whining. No, he did it with shoes having been stolen prior to his event. One of the events was he had never thrown the javelin prior to the Olympics. He set a new record with it. Not bad for the first time out. But when he went to compete, after watching others and finally it's his turn, his shoes were gone. Oh my God. Now, in today's world, they say, oh, I'm a victim and wow. No, he didn't do that. He went around and he found 2 spare shoes lying around. One was random, one was in the trash. One of them didn't even have shoelaces. One of them was a half a size too small. One was a full size too big. He used string to tie the shoe that didn't have laces. And he wore 3 socks on one shoe to be able to make the one size too big sort of fit. Now, can you imagine you're competing against the world's best athletes in the pentathlon and the decathlon, and you have that for your handicap? You can see different socks. You can see the string right there. And you set a world record on top of it. So that's the goal. The goal is to set records, not make excuses, not complain that you don't have the best technology available. It all comes down to results. The end. Good. I'll take any questions if anybody has any. Not everybody does, and some people, honestly, when I talk about this methodology, they say, ew, you call them? That's my son's reaction, quite frankly. Because my son is 23 years old, and he doesn't want to talk to a human. When he wants to make a change to his insurance policy with USAA, it annoys him to no end that he has to speak to an agent. He doesn't want to do that. Well, they're probably going to lose him before too long, because there will be other companies out there that don't require that. Right? So the reason that we don't get 100% of these 70% is partly for that reason. People think, I don't want to talk to somebody. Now, the difference comes in too is when we call, and it says on the caller ID, Timberland, and you were just on their website 20, 30 minutes ago, your curiosity probably is a little bit piqued. As opposed to if the caller ID says spam or telemarketing or unknown, that's not going to help you out. So there's the 11 herbs and spices of Kentucky Fried Chicken kind of thing. There's lots of little finer points in how to do some of this stuff to get the results that we were talking about. Like I said, it took us years to figure this thing out. We can set it up for somebody and get results within a year now because we have it all figured out. But if you're going to stumble and mumble and anti-phone, you're not going to get the results. But if you embrace it and just recognize that it's a fact of life when you're cold calling, for lack of better terms, that people are not going to answer the phone or they're going to hang up on you. It happens. I'm in sales, it happens. Right? So, that's why having those analytics by how did they try to buy help out. Because it gives you an idea of the mentality of the kind of person that you likely might be encountering when you call. In the same way that you hear a lot in call center circles about omni-channel. We have omni-channel reps. Yeah, that's nice. If you're in a shared environment, leveraging people, but people that can write English are not necessarily people that can speak it well, and vice versa. Right? Take those people from Alabama. Who knows what they say? They're writing English, but when they speak it, it sounds completely different. Boston is the same way. They don't have ours. So when we come to third world countries, what happened there was, back in the 2000 timeframe, all the good speakers were gobbled up first. And then the companies had to go to the secondary and tertiary cities to look for talent, because everyone wanted these low prices. Well, the problem is the secondary and tertiary cities didn't have people who spoke English with any frequency. Now, they can read it, they can write it, but I'm sure someone here has spoken to somebody that they didn't understand. That's just, fact of life. But also, not everybody you're going to call. Some you're going to be sending an email to because it didn't hit a certain threshold for purchase. Did that answer your question? Anybody else? I see someone being volunteered over here.
Good.
Come on. Don't
Well,
be shy.
they can start, we're a little late, we're good, they can have conversations with you on the way up.
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm the Instagram shopper in bed when I should be sleeping. So if the cart gets abandoned, it's probably because I fell asleep. But if you give me a 10% discount, I'm a sucker and I probably will buy. Also, I have a mug, send sales, that says, losers make excuses, winners make money.
Right.
I don't ever turn it around for people to see unless I like you on my video call. So, but thank you, Tom. I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. If this was your first event, we hope to see you again. July 13th is our next event. It is a summer social. There's no speaker programming. It's just networking. It is not here. It is at Cloud Brewery in downtown Raleigh. I think it used to be called Nathaniel Green's by 518 West, for those of us that have been in Raleigh for a long time. And August is Chat GPT. Should be very interesting. Second Thursday, unsure of that date. August 11th.
I think it's the 10th.
August 10th. Good. All right, thank you all. You can network, you can talk to friends, you can make some friends and talk to Tom on his way out. Thank you for coming to town and flying in from Vegas to see you. Usually we're the ones going to Vegas, right? So I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Nice job.